I don't need this junk. Can you please leave the house right away?
While sorting through my late husband's belongings, my dear Emily said this to me. What? Leave? What do you mean? Annoyed, my son Kevin snapped at me as I wonder.
Since I inherited everything but the cash, this house is mine now. So it's annoying having you around, Mom.
What are you talking about? I was shocked at how my son talks to me.
I'm tired of talking to stupid old people. I intentionally tried to inherit everything but the cash. I was meaning to get the house. Mom, you're a fool, signing the contract without realizing it.
Kevin sarcastically told me about how the price of the land around here have been skyrocketing recently.
Getting this house is far better than cash buns. Foolish old people like you get exploited by smart younger people like us.
Emily laughed at Kevin's words. I told them with a sigh, if you say you don't want the stuff that comes with the house, then you won't inherit anything from me.
What?
Upon hearing my explanation, Kevin and Emily turned pale instantly. My name is Joan. I lived with my husband, George. We have a son, Kevin, who married a few years ago and has already moved out. I've never been very strong physically, and I've been bedridden more often, perhaps from the relief of my son having grown up and left the family house. My husband, George, has been considerate of my condition, actively doing household chores to lessen my burden. I'm sorry, you have work too. Lying down, my husband would respond with a smile.
What are you talking about? It's natural for families to help each other out. This is what we do.
Grateful for my kind husband, I also did my best to help around the house when I feel well. However, age takes its toll, and sometimes both me and my husband would fall ill at the same time. Just last weekend, we both caught a cold at the same time. We couldn't manage to go shopping and had to ask our son, Kevin, for help. When I called, it was my son Kevin's wife, Emily, who answered. Emily, I'm sorry to bother you on your day off, but we both have colds and can't go out shopping. Could you possibly bring us some food and some drinks? Emily replied with an annoyed tone.
What? A cold? It's really inconvenient to hear this all of a sudden. We have plans to go shopping.
Shopping? As I was stunned, Kevin took the phone.
Dad, Mom, did both of you catch a cold?
Yes, both of us can't move and need you and Emily to come and help us. However, my son coldly responded.
Getting sick is your own fault. You're both old, so please manage your health properly. This is why people say old people are a nuisance. The elderly shouldn't bother us young folks like that.
I see. Stunned by my son's cold words, I hung up the phone without saying anything. Thinking back, Kevin has always had a cold attitude towards others. I thought he had changed a bit as he grew up, but I was shocked that he could speak so coldly even to his family.
What did Kevin say?
While coughing, my husband asked. When I told my husband about the phone conversation, he muttered disappointedly, I see. We managed to get through by ordering drinks and food through a delivery service. Though we recovered, this incident became a significant turning point for us to think about our future.
Joan, it looks like we need to properly prepare for our retirement.
My husband made a suggestion. It seems he thought we couldn't rely on our son and his wife if something were to happen. I felt the same way as my husband. We then meticulously planned for our future, including our home, retirement funds, and arrangements for care, or if one of us were to be left alone, without relying on our son. After finalizing our plans, we decided to inform our son and his wife as well. We asked Kevin and Emily to come to our house. Clearly, both were in a bad mood.
Can't believe you called us here on our day off. What's so important to talk about?
My husband tried to explain our plans for retirement to Kevin.
Firstly, if either of us needs care, we'll use a care service.
Kevin immediately cut him off.
Yeah, we don't need to hear the details. As long as we're not bothered by you or Mom, it's all fine by us.
We don't intend to be a bother, but this is about the family's future, so we want both of you to listen carefully.
When my husband pleaded earnestly, Kevin and Emily sat down quietly, but they were on their phones the whole time he was explaining, not listening at all.
And that's the plan your mom and I have made.
After my husband finished explaining, Emily stretched and muttered,
Ah, finally done. Old people's stories are so long, aren't they?
Kevin just plainly agreed with Emily.
Exactly. Well, you got to say what you wanted. You both feel better now, right? We can go back home, yeah.
My husband and I watched our son and his wife leave in a hurry, smiling mockingly. As expected, it seems that Kevin and his wife have absolutely no intention of supporting us in our old age. We thought to get our son's agreement first, but realizing it was unnecessary, my husband and I quickly started preparing for our retirement. The preparation was harder than expected, and by the end, both my husband and I were utterly exhausted. Perhaps due to his weakened state, my husband couldn't stop coughing and had to stay in bed for many days. The coughing didn't subside, and eventually, he had trouble breathing and was rushed to the hospital for an emergency admission. Despite informing Kevin and Emily, they did not even try to visit George in the hospital. Pushing my exhausted body, I continued checking my husband in the hospital, but in the end, my husband passed away without recovering. Exhausted and shocked, I was physically and mentally drained, yet there was no time to rest with the funeral preparations. Kevin and his wife, with no intention of helping, arrived only during the time for the funeral. During the funeral, they just watched me running around, taking care of everything without any help. I had neither the energy to scold them nor the strength to ask for anything. Just after the funeral ended and I thought I could finally rest, I returned home and immediately the doorbell rang. At the door were Kevin, Emily, and a man claiming to be a lawyer.
What brings you here so suddenly?
Ignoring my questions, Kevin barged into the house.
We've come to discuss something important.
Something important. Does it have to be today? I'm exhausted. Could we do this another day?
Despite my request, Kevin was unwilling to listen.
No, it's better to have this conversation sooner rather than later. Besides, it's a hassle to come here multiple times.
Unwillingly, I asked all of them to sit, and I took a seat as well.
This is about the inheritance. Mom, did Dad tell you anything? Is there a will?
Kevin and Emily were concerned about my husband's estate. Of course, my husband and I had thoroughly discussed the inheritance before.
Dad said that by law, Kevin and I should split the estate equally. So there's no specific will.
I see.
Kevin exchanged looks with Emily, then told me,
Splitting the non-cash assets evenly is a hassle, so how about the cash goes to you, Mom, and I inherit everything else?
"What?" But Kevin cut me off.
Got a problem with that. Elderly people should just shut it and follow what the young say.
Kevin seemed taken aback and suddenly became displeased, perhaps not expecting me to object to his suggestion.
You should be thankful, even if you're already useless and old, you still get to receive money. It's good Dad died sooner so he won't be a burden for us anymore.
Exactly.
I felt really angry about what my son said. It's as if he's happy that my husband already died.
All right. Let's proceed with the inheritance, as Kevin suggests.
Kevin and Emily exchanged glances and nasty smiles.
Right. Mom, you just need to quietly do as we say.
Then Kevin instructed the lawyer he brought to prepare an agreement, stating that I would inherit all the cash assets, and he, as the eldest son, would inherit everything else, and that we both sign it. Unexpectedly, having completed the inheritance process actually allowed me to rest and feel relieved. After getting a lot of rest, I began sorting through my late husband's belongings and called Kevin and his wife to the family home.
What is it this time? I don't want my day offs ruined again.
With no choice, the couple arrived at our house and immediately started complaining. I ignored their complaints and began sorting through the stuff, looking at old photo albums and movie tickets from our first date. I was overwhelmed with fond memories of George. They were both dismayed to see me like that.
This is not fun at all. Mom, if you want to reminisce, do it alone. Unlike you, we're busy.
Exactly. Is there any point in us being here?
Their words brought me back to reality, and I conveyed the matter at hand. I called you two here today about the inheritance. If you're to inherit the non-cash assets, then Kevin, you need to take all these stuff. Emily laughed mockingly at my words.
Stuff? We don't need all these junk. Can you please just leave the house sooner?
What? Leave? What do you mean? Annoyed, my son Kevin snapped at me as I wonder.
Since I inherited everything but the cash, this house is mine now. So, it's annoying having you always around, Mom.
What are you talking about? I was shocked at how my son talks to me.
I'm tired of talking to stupid old people. I intentionally tried to inherit everything but the cash. I was meaning to get the house. Mom, you're a fool, signing the contract without realizing it.
Kevin sarcastically told me about how the price of the land around here have been skyrocketing recently.
Getting this house is far better than cash buns. Foolish old people like you get exploited by smart younger people like us.
Emily laughed at Kevin's words. I told them with a sigh, if you say you don't want the stuff that comes with the house, then you won't inherit anything from me.
What? Mom, are you listening? This house is ours, right?
Did you really listen to what your father said before he died? This house has long been transferred to someone else's name.
What? What do you mean?
Kevin and Emily immediately turned pale. The biggest issue my husband and I fretted over while planning for our retirement was the financial and housing situation. When we considered whether we would have the capacity to maintain this house in our old age, and the option of selling the house emerged. Selling the house would mean we could use the money for care services when needed, and also the option of moving into a retirement facility for the elderly. However, both my husband and I wanted to spend our remaining healthy years still in our own home. What we discovered was the arrangement where we could sell the house and continue living in it by paying rent. It was indeed the perfect solution for my husband and me. Even when we tried explaining this to Kevin and Emily, they ignored my husband's words. Because of that, they had no idea that the family home had already been sold to someone else. Realizing they had nothing to inherit, Kevin and Emily suddenly panicked.
What the? If there's no house, that changes everything. Damn, we've been tricked.
Who tricked you? Your father explained about selling the house. It's your fault for not listening.
We didn't think it was such an important matter at the time.
You're always like that, treating us like fools, never taking our words seriously. You have no respect for the parents who raised you or for your elders who lived longer than you. Shocked by the situation, Kevin and Emily seem too overwhelmed to even understand what I'm telling them.
If you've already sold the house, there must be money from the sale, right? Give me half of it. We're family after all. You should be able to do that at least, right?
When we discussed about the inheritance, the money from the sale was already deposited in the account as cash asset. Based from your demand, I inherit all the money from selling this place, which is cash. We did sign an agreement, right?
Then why didn't you tell us before signing the agreement?
I tried my best to tell you, but wasn't it you who wouldn't let me speak, saying elders should just shut it and follow? It's all on you. Remembering his behavior at that time, Kevin fell silent. You talk about family, but have you ever helped us when we, your own parents, were in trouble?
Well, that's...
Your father and I believed in helping each other as a family, but it seems you and your wife have a different understanding. So we decided not to rely on you and to take care of ourselves.
No, that's not true. We also want to help both of you. That's why we decided not to take the cash and gave it all you.
Now you're trying to make it look nice. Twisting it now won't change anything. I will live as how your father and I have decided without relying on you. Even alone with all this money, I won't help you with anything, so live with it. Hearing my firm words, Kevin and Emily embarrassedly left. Apparently, Kevin and Emily were planning to sell the family home as soon as they got it and use the money to buy a luxury apartment in the city center. Anticipating this, they had already terminated their lease on the apartment they were living in. Without acquiring the house and unable to buy the city apartment, Kevin and Emily tried their best to renew the lease on their previous place. However, due to the soaring land prices, the rent for the apartment had already increased significantly at the time of renegotiation, reaching an amount they could no longer afford on their current income. Kevin and Emily had no choice but to live in a smaller house with rent that suited their budget. They deeply regretted terminating the lease of their previous apartment prematurely, especially since they had persistently refused several rent increases, relying on their tenant rights. Their relationship deteriorated to constant arguing, blaming each other for their misfortunes, leading to a severely strained marriage. Meanwhile, after sorting out my late husband's belongings, I terminated our house's rental contract and moved into a serviced residential for the elderly. This was also something I had discussed with my husband beforehand. We had talked about using services if one of us needed care or if one of us were to end up alone. Having anticipated every scenario and chosen a facility accordingly, the move-in process was smooth. Thorough research and choosing a place with a good atmosphere made my life comfortable. I've become friendly with other residents in the facility, which has greatly alleviated the loneliness of not having my husband around. Partnering with nearby hospitals ensures full support, so I never worry. Even if my health falters, I can be checked immediately. I never expected to be alone so soon. But I am truly grateful that I prepared well in advance. Living alone, I often reflect that this life was something my husband and I decided together, which adds a special significance to it. I know one day I will join my husband, but until then, I intend to cherish the memories with him and live my life to the fullest. embracing my solitude positively.